This 2-minute rule can change your retirement because we both know that there's a lot of new things that come in this stage of life. Whether you are 5 years from retirement or you've been retired for 10 years, whether you've got $50,000 or $50 million, this rule can be learned and applied to greatly improve your life moving forward. Because the problem that we face when we're planning for or when we're living in retirement is that it's so different than any other part of our life, right? It's not just the difference of how the role of work changes in our life or the value we bring to the world, but also the financial strategies change because we know we're not just accumulating anymore. We've done the growth part, and now we just want to make sure that we don't lose it. It's really more of a preserving mode and thinking about tax reduction more. And there's other financial changes, but there's also relationship changes that could change as we leave work and those social engagements that we've had. And then also physical changes that happen as we get older. So all these changes are happening. And to make this next stage great, we need to adopt new habits for the next few years and really the next 20 or 30 years. Because good habits, we know they make, if we can have good habits each day, they make great weeks and months and then years and a good retirement. So I want to give you the 2-minute rule that you can apply to really any part of your life moving forward to just make sure that this is the best stage of life yet. And I'll go over 2 examples. One is going to be for health and then one is for financial. And I've been applying this rule to my own life just personally, and I'm seeing some amazing things happen. So I wanted to share it with you too. So for this first habit on health, it's really something that we know we all should do and something we need, which is a consistent exercise goal. And I learned this from James Clear. Now, pretend that I wanted to create a habit of walking or running 3 miles a day, but I never get to it because I think about the entire 3 miles and then the time it takes or the how tired I am at the end of the day. So I never do it because it just feels overwhelming. But rather than focusing on the whole thing, if I can just focus on the first 2 minutes of that habit, the one that I want to create, that's the key. So what are the first 2 minutes for that walking or running habit? Well, all it is getting my running shoes on and then walking out the door, right? That's all I have to do to create this habit. Now, you might think, so what? You're not even running or walking or doing anything. That's not creating a habit. We do this because we need motivation to start the habit. But we think that we need motivation before we start the work, but often that motivation comes after it starts. Here's the drawing to look at. It's the motivation needed to complete a habit is at the highest at the very beginning of the habit. So all I have to do is commit to the first 2 minutes. And what I found is that the motivation comes after it starts, after I start the first 2 minutes. So for example, I get outside and then I just start to walk, right? For this health example. And then the motivation comes after that and I end up going further and further. And then that way the habit is created. So really the goal here is just to make it so easy that you can't say no when we're creating a habit. Now, this is a retirement channel. How do we apply this to our financial lives? Well, in retirement, we know it requires us to look at our money through a different lens when we get to this point. Because like I said earlier, it's not just how do I grow the nest egg more, it's now how do I protect it and how do I use it most effectively? Considering taxes and withdrawal strategy and then even changes in investment style moving forward. Now, right now you're watching YouTube because you want to learn and get some of these strategies around retirement, but you might find a bunch of different strategies. You might even know what they are and you've heard the terms before, but you're not 100% sure on how to apply them. And it could lead to overwhelm, especially if you hear conflicting advice from different people trying to educate. And that can leave us with a lack of motivation to really do anything. I've seen this before. People want to plan for retirement and implement the best strategies for them, but they don't because of analysis paralysis. And this is where the 2-minute rule can help. We don't want our financial study or implementation of good strategies to be based on just motivation or maybe worry if we're reading the news. Say you had a bad day at work and you want to retire right now, then you start focusing on retirement planning, or you see the scary news headline about recession or whatever it is, and then you need to review your investments right then. We don't want it to be about motivation. What we want is a habit of financial review. But if we wanted to make a habit of a monthly financial review, it might sound kind of boring, or you might not know what to do. But we need to remember what gets measured gets improved. So the 2-minute rule applied to this financial habit is on the 5th of every month, have a reminder pop up on the phone. It's on the 5th is usually after the monthly statement arrives or comes in email, however you get it. Open up the statement and then just write down the balance of your accounts and begin to track the balance each month. So January, you're going to be writing down whatever the account values, or maybe the main accounts. You might have many accounts. Get the 80-20 rule here, and then just start to track the values. Now, if you work with a wealth management team like Streamline, you might have this done for you and you've got your own dashboard that looks like this. But either way, as you're doing it, the way done for you way or the manual way, you might not get insight right away just by tracking the values. But the goal is not to get insight or strategy of what to do next, but it's really just to create that consistent monthly habit. And then you'll start to have a history. This is what I did a decade and a half ago when I was preparing clients' taxes, but I wanted to get more and understand more the financial planning side and the retirement planning side more. I started to do this habit of just monthly tracking, and the habit was created. And now the personal monthly review takes about 30 to 60 minutes, and it's more of an in-depth thing, but I can't break it. And now it's just a part of my month. And it does provide a lot of insight each month and helps me see history and any patterns and things like that moving forward. I found this 2-minute rule and this tracking idea helpful in my own life, so I hope you do too. And if you're motivated now and you want to learn more about the 7 accounts needed to get your retirement more organized, check out this video here and then subscribe so you don't miss next week's video on how we can actually spend more in retirement than you probably thought you could. Now, final action item for you. What's the habit you want to create? Either financial, physical, or mental, whatever it is. Identify just the first 2 minutes of that habit and then start doing it. It might not always be easy. If that's the case, then there's wisdom in this verse that I like that says, no discipline seems to bring joy at the time, but only sorrow. Later, though, it produces fruit. So it might be a short-term pain for a long-term gain. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.